so happy we're alive.
Good evening. This is Patrick Moore. Welcome to Louisville Late Night. This evening we have the privilege of being at the Cato Institute in Washington D.C., where there's a special gathering and celebration of the annual NORMA meeting. On my left here is Governor Gary Johnson of New Mexico and Keith Strop.
I think I'm right there.
President of NORMA, and this is John Morgan.
He wrote me a very nice note about the book.
Transition is going.
How
are you?
So I
actually chosen
really nice.
Good to meet you.
I'm a psychiatrist from Louisville, Kentucky, and I put on a weekly TV show which features issues having to do with war on drugs and so forth.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, we're really thrilled that you're
Just
here.
on this weekend. Sounds nice. I want to enjoy having a legislative program this year. That's a first for you, isn't it? Well, yes. Well, we did, and none of that stuff died. All of it was alive. Yeah. And we were 5 minutes away from medical marijuana, which would have been the first legislated medical marijuana. Any chance of running out of time, aren't you? Yeah. Any chance to bring some of that stuff back or not? Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Mike, do you have any words of wisdom for the audience back in Louisville?
I hope it's warmer there than it is here.
There's progress being made up in Massachusetts.
You could have predicted that yourself.
Legislators are
with half a brain.
willing to talk about this in a serious way,
and they don't feel that the voters
that they're alienating voters by getting into this. They think they're attracting voters. They think they have support.
Do you have a medical marijuana initiative on the ballot up there?
We had
First of all, this is never about re-election, or I wouldn't have done it.
probation diversion
And I'm not going to run for re-election.
confiscation of assets
As outrageous as this sounds,
initiative goes
I
on
might leave
last
office
fall.
with about the
But this would be the legislative bill that we have for
As outrageous
as well as for decon.
Now maybe that doesn't.
I think when the history of the end of marijuana prohibition is written, Governor Johnson's courageous stand will probably be seen as the beginning of the serious anti-war movement in this country, an anti-war movement that in fact is going to bring us out of this quagmire called the war on drugs. I would like for you to join me in giving a warm welcome to a courageous individual who did what was right, and in so doing has forever changed the drug policy debate in this country. The Honorable Gary Johnson, Governor of the great state of New Mexico.
I got a call about 3 weeks ago from George Schultz, somebody who I had not talked to since I had started talking about the war on drugs and the alternatives that went with that. And surprisingly, George Schultz said, or went into a dialogue on how he got into the conversation, how he got on the issue. He just got on the issue by recognizing that the war on drugs was a huge failure, and he made that statement public, and he said at that time that he understood that legalization was going to have to be one of those alternatives that got talked about, not realizing the overwhelming evidence that exists that would say that it would be very, very effective. And I said to him, that's exactly how I launched into this also. I launched into this by recognizing that the war on drugs is a miserable failure, and that I launched into this recognizing that we need to seriously look at alternatives to what we're currently doing. And in that alternative area, it would be the discussion of legalization. We would have to, in fact, talk about legalization. Now, getting into that discussion, again, I have no idea the overwhelming evidence that existed to suggest, again, that we could be doing things differently and that it would make a huge difference. So for me, this was about a 6-week process that I was deluged with information, and again, had no idea the overwhelming evidence that exists that we could be doing a lot better. So I do believe that I am evidence of term limits. That we should have term limits. That if term limits existed, that we would have citizen legislators that would do the right thing, that would tackle the difficult issues, because there wouldn't be this whole sense of I've got to get reelected, which is, in my opinion, what drives the whole political process in this country today. So I want to thank all of you for being involved in an issue that arguably is the biggest civil rights issue in this world today that is going unaddressed. And that we can make this planet a better place to live by starting out with the legalization of marijuana. And again, I'm speaking to the choir here, but we need to draw a line of distinction. No one here would suggest that you should be able to smoke marijuana and get in a car and operate it. No one here would suggest that you should be able to smoke marijuana and do harm to anyone else. I think you can apply that over on the drugs also. Same with alcohol. Let us not forget that at one point in this country's history, it was illegal to distribute and manufacture alcohol. The line of distinction needs to be, it's okay to have a drink, but it's not okay to leave this meeting and get in your car if you've had one too many to drink. It's not okay. That's going to be against the law. That should be criminal. Our law should protect us from those that would do harm unto us. And that's the line that we need to draw in this country. If you're going to smoke marijuana in the confines of your own home, doing no harm to anybody arguably other than yourself, should that be criminal? No, I don't think that should be criminal. And I recognize the conference over three days. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak tomorrow at noon. And again, just a huge thank you to all of you. We're going to make a difference in this world. We're going to make this world a better place to live. And I thank you for all of your help in that. Thanks.
He was a successful businessman who had built a small handyman firm into a multi-million-dollar construction business before running for governor in 1994. He was re-elected in 1998, becoming the first person to ever serve 2 consecutive 4-year terms as governor in the state of New Mexico. In 1999, when Governor Johnson first told the truth about drug policy, it sent a shockwave through the political establishment. He said the drug war is a failure and needs to end. He said we should legalize marijuana and we should decriminalize and medicalize other drugs. Well, not surprisingly, the nation's chief drug lawyer at the time, drug czar Mary McAfee, scheduled a special trip to Albuquerque, New Mexico, to hold a press conference at which he criticized and denigrated the governor, calling him Puff Daddy Johnson at the time. And the reason the drug czar was so upset was because Governor Johnson had almost single-handedly destroyed the myth of consensus. The myth that everyone, all reasonable people, and especially all elected officials, support the drug war, and that there's no room for arguments for legalization or alternative policies. Those are marginal people that talk about that. Well, because of the governor's prestige and the office he holds and his own standing, he was able to break through that, to tell the truth.